Try this. Tickle yourself right now. Nothing happens even if you aim for your ticklish spot. But let someone else do the exact same move, and you squirm. Why the mismatch? The weird part is not the touch itself, it's that your brain expected it. Expectation quietly turns down sensations you cause, so predictable self-touch feels dull instead of tickly. When you move, your brain sends a copy of that command to predict the touch arriving a split second later. If the prediction matches, the incoming signal is subtracted, leaving only a faint, non-tickly whisper of sensation. One region that helps compute these predictions is the cerebellum, a coordination hub tuned to timing and expected feedback. In lab scans, self-produced tickle dampens somatosensory responses, consistent with the cerebellum subtracting what it already predicted. Break the prediction and the tickle returns. Change timing slightly, and your own touch stops matching what your brain forecast. In experiments, introducing a small delay between your movement and the touch makes self-touch feel surprisingly tickly. Around 0.2 of a second is often enough to defeat prediction. The brain can't line up cause and effect. So the mystery isn't touch strength, it's timing. Surprise from not me beats your brain's auto-mute for self-made sensations. Timing isn't the only lever. Even a small spatial mismatch weakens your brain's prediction. When touch lands slightly off the expected spot, cancellation falters and the feeling grows ticklier. Hold everything else constant. Same touch, different source. Self-caused usually feels duller than other-caused. That gap is the hallmark of prediction at work, not a difference in force or skill. Brain imaging links the cerebellum with somatosensory areas during self-touch, matching the predict and subtract story. Stronger functional coupling tracks stronger attenuation, suggesting this pathway helps mute sensations we cause ourselves. Expose your brain to a fixed delay and it adapts. The delay becomes the new predictable normal. After training, delayed self-touch is damped, while immediate touch pops back as relatively more intense and tickly. Tickle reactions kick in fast, roughly around 0.2 of a second for early responses. Move yourself at the same moment, and those responses delay or shrink because prediction gets there first. That's why a tickle reads like "not me." Uncertainty and surprise escape the brain's cancellation. Your brain prefers to ignore your own touch and pay attention when something else might be touching you. An early report in the 1970s noticed most people couldn't tickle themselves and proposed cancellation by self-generated signals. That seed idea frames the puzzle. Prediction from your own movement makes self-caused sensations feel less tickly. Years later, brain scans during self-produced tickle showed damped responses in touch areas and cerebellar involvement. That pattern fits a forward model. Predict the input, subtract the match, and little is left to feel. With a robot interface, researchers added tiny delays or small offsets, and self-touch started to feel ticklier. Around 0.2 of a second, self and other produced tickle felt similarly tickly in people's ratings. By the early 2000s, reviews crystallized the idea. Actions predict their own sensory consequences. The goal isn't to erase sensation, but to discount what was expected so surprises stand out. Train with a fixed delay, and your brain quickly relearns it. The delay becomes predictable. Then immediate touch, once muted, can feel relatively more intense and tickly again. Connectivity between cerebellum and somatosensory areas tracks how strongly self-touch is attenuated. Stronger coupling, stronger muting, linking the not-me rule to measurable wiring differences. Closing your eyes doesn't fix self-tickle. Prediction comes from your own motor command, not vision alone. If your hand decides the move, the brain expects the touch and turns it down, sight or no sight. Turning up force rarely helps. Ticklish isn't about intensity. It's about uncertainty in timing and place. Make the touch unpredictable, and it grows ticklier. Keep it perfectly predicted, and it feels ordinary. What about using a tool you control? A brush on a stick? Still muted because you're still the source. Unless delay or offset slips in, the prediction follows the command through the tool and cancels the match. Even externally delivered touch can be muted if it's time-locked to your own movement. In robot setups, self-driven, zero delay contact feels less tickly than the same touch delivered independently. This predict and defect trick shows up across senses. We dampen self-made sights and sounds so surprises stand out. It's a general brain habit, often called corollary discharge, that keeps me from drowning out not. There are exceptions. Some clinical groups show reduced attenuation and rate self-applied touch as stronger than typical controls. For most healthy adults, the not surprise rule holds. Use it as the baseline for everyday touch. Here's the everyday baseline. Your own smooth, predictable touch feels ordinary. The same touch, delivered unpredictably, often feels tickly. Prediction dulls self-made contact. Uncertainty, even tiny, makes your brain treat it like not. Count it down. 3, 2, 1, less tickly, because prediction nails the timing. Remove the countdown and vary the moment, and the same light touch suddenly stands out. Regular rhythm is easy for your brain. Irregular timing defeats the forecast. Change intervals unpredictably, and the sensation grows ticklier, without changing force. Some body spots tend to feel ticklier for many people because they're sensitive and harder to predict in posture. Prediction still rules. Make the touch expectable there, and it fades. Keep it uncertain, and it pops. Move the target area yourself, wiggle, tense, or swipe. And tickle responses shrink because prediction arrives first. That's why chasing hands ruins surprise. Co-movement mutes what your own action already explained. Your everyday playbook. Prediction dulls self-made touch. Uncertainty in timing or place escapes and feels tickly. You can't surprise yourself on demand, but you can nudge prediction with delay, offset, or by staying still. As delay grows, your prediction lines up worse, and the same touch feels more like not. Beyond a small threshold, self-driven touch can feel almost like someone else doing it. Prediction includes location. Land the touch slightly off, and cancellation weakens. Land it far off, it feels more external. The brain flagged a mismatch yet, so the signal escapes the mute. Stack a tiny delay with a tiny offset, and together they can beat prediction more than either alone. It's the same idea. When cause and effect stop lining up cleanly, ticklish feelings return. You can't reliably surprise yourself because your brain copies your motor command before the touch arrives. Without an external process to add unpredictability, your prediction stays one step ahead. Prediction frees attention by downweighting self and boosting surprises from the world. Tickle rides that same habit. Uncertain touch gets promoted because it might be something else touching you. Short version. Your brain predicts when and where your touch will land and turns it down. Break the prediction. Tiny delay, tiny offset, no co-movement, and the same touch suddenly reads like not me. Your brain works like noise cancelling for touch. It forecasts self-made input in advance. Matched predictions get subtracted, freeing attention for unexpected contact that might matter. Here's a neat coincidence. Early tickle responses appear around 0.2 of a second. Delays about that long also break prediction, so cause and touch stop lining up cleanly. Remove the delay after training. Your brain quickly unlearns the shifted timing. Cancellation snaps back to immediate touch. Delayed contact fades again as the new predictable case. This predictive mute is automatic. It doesn't wait for your attention or permission. Even when you try not to think about it, the cerebellum still runs the forecast. Put it simply, tickle is your brain flagging. Maybe not me, pay attention. Prediction mutes self-made touch. Surprise promotes possibly external touch up the priority list. Keep one rule in mind. A tiny delay, a tiny offset, and staying still reveal the not me signal best. Use this to explain why self-touch feels ordinary, while surprise touch often makes you laugh. When another person mirrors your movement exactly, the touch often feels duller than when they act independently. Perfect sync makes their touch ride on your prediction, so cancellation still kicks in. Break the sync, vary timing or path, and their touch escapes prediction and grows ticklier. Desynchronizing restores the not me feel because cause and effect stop lining up. Expose your brain to one fixed pattern long enough, and it learns it. The pattern stops feeling surprising. Vary delays and locations, or your prediction will catch up and mute them again. 3 levers decide tickle versus ordinary. Timing uncertainty, location uncertainty, and your own movement. Uncertainty plus stillness shifts touch toward not. Certainty plus movement shifts it toward me. This isn't a bug. It's a feature that stops your own actions from flooding your senses. Your brain saves attention for surprises, which is why self-tickle fails while stray touches can spark laughter. One principle predicts daily tickle. Prediction mutes self-touch. Mismatch promotes not. Treat it as a compass for self versus world touch, not a prank manual. You can't tickle yourself because your cerebellum predicts your own touch and turns it down before it arrives. A tiny delay or offset breaks that prediction, so the same touch feels like not much and becomes tickly. Share this with a friend and watch them try and fail to tickle themselves. For more notebook curiosities, hit subscribe and drop the wildest everyday question your brain keeps poking.